Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video where today we'll return with round 21 of our F1 24 My Team career mode. Yes, we return this weekend to the Autodromo Jose Carlos Pache for the Brazilian Grand Prix. If you missed out on the last video that went live a couple of days ago from Mexico, I would highly recommend going back and checking out. It was quite an entertaining one. We've got rule changes confirmed ready for next season, so we are working very busily behind the scenes to try and get all the upgrades sorted on the car. And we had one of the most dramatic finishes to our races we've ever had, and it finally gave us our first win of the season. We've had 3 podium finishes back to back, 4 fastest laps in Grand Prix as well, back to back. We haven't missed out on points since the Dutch Grand Prix as well, just after the summer break. So we're really going into these final few races with a bit of momentum behind us. Charles Leclerc, he could leave this weekend as Formula 1 World Champion. I believe he needs an 86-point buffer over over his teammate Carlos Sainz even now, with still Sainz, Hamilton and Alonso battling a little bit further back. So yeah, Charles Leclerc, he's looking to try and lock up that title. Get yourself subscribed if you're new. We're trying to hit 5k subs here on the channel at the moment, and yeah, let's do this thing. Well, Brazil really tends to be a track I've struggled at inside F1 24. Luckily, apparently they have now patched this circuit, so we're not going to end up with like 16 red flags as the weekend goes on, and yeah, maybe we can try to avoid seeing that glitch rearing its ugly head once more. But of course, with this sprint qualifying format, it does on paper give us a slightly better chance against the AI. Obviously, I like to use mediums on the first run, then we'll dive back in and go over to softs ready for the second run. The AI just like to do 2 laps on the set of the soft compound tyre there, as yeah, this is just going to be a bit of a banker, and with lines like that down the bottom of the hill, not a particularly good one. We power our way then out of Junção. It's been after that little mistake down the end of the Escudo Largo, the rest of the lap has been fairly tidy. Lando Norris is a 106.0. We're going to be nowhere near that, a second away on a 107.0. Oh, well, we have come out in a right traffic paradise then as we try to get started with our final last-ditch run. I've got no idea who's on a lap and who isn't at the moment, but Nico Hülkenberg, I think, wants to try and get the run on me as everybody gets ready to start their final run. Please don't say Hülkenberg is about to mess us up here. Have to try and go defensive from the German down in towards turn 1, and it's not worked. Hülkenberg and I have come to blows, and qualifying for the sprint is ruined.
Taken some damage. I suggest we box so we can check it out.
I mean, we're a quicker car than the German. Why on earth would he try and go for the move in towards turn 1? I mean, he's still trying to look for it down the bottom of the hill. But yeah, we're going to be starting for the sprint right towards the rear of the field.
We're racing then at Interlagos, a historic 2.7 mile circuit and one of the few anti-clockwise tracks on the calendar. 15 corners in total, 9 to the left and 6 to the right, with a technical middle section opening up to a flat-out sector 3 that give us our best passing opportunity down into turn 1. Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks for today's sprint. Fernando Alonso lines up on pole position, and Lando Norris lines up alongside. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Russell, Oscar Piastri, Leclerc, Hamilton, Sainz, Verstappen, Iwasa, Tsunoda, Ricciardo, Gasly, Stroll, Hülkenberg, Perez, Ocon, Bottas, Albon, Mr. Monaco, Sargent, Joe, and Teo Pourchaire. And with preparations almost complete, let's head trackside for today's sprint. Welcome to the commentary box. I'm Alex Jakes, delighted to say that we're joined today by Anthony Davidson. So a sprint race today, and that means lights to flag, no stops. And how is that going to affect the driver behind the wheel?
Absolutely. So for today, there's no pit stop, or shouldn't be a pit stop anyway, if things go right, and you can forget about strategy. You're just driving today as fast as you can, make those overtakes if you need to, and that's what a sprint weekend's all about.
But it always feels like in Formula 1, whenever you finally get your first win, that the next weekend is always pretty terrible. And, well, safe to say, we are starting right towards the rear of the grid for this one. P19, we're going to opt for the soft compound tyres to get us through these 12 laps today. We're just going to be using this as a test session. It's 5 red lights, and it's going to be lights out, and away we go then. There's Perez doesn't get off to a particularly good start either. Look at Bottas trying to carve his way around the outside in towards turn 1. We're going to get a little bit boxed in through that first corner there between Sargent and Zhou Guanyu, but we will navigate it fairly clean and tidy. Also try and put the power down on the exit. I mean, even Sergio, he ran a pretty good race last weekend. He seems to be struggling as well here. Saw Sargent trying to get the elbows out with his teammate Alex Albon. I thought that would have sniffed down the inside there of the Williams, but not able to make that happen. A little bit of contact on the exit there, maybe just giving him the hurry up as we try and make our way up the hill, but opening up the door. Oh, I hate how early the AI brake there. We'll get back on the road. We won't lose the place to Zhou. And in the end, we'll try and look around the outside of Alex as well there. McLaren, though, they have nailed the start. As now we're going to start just getting the elbows out there down the inside of Sargent. But yeah, Alonso, he lined up on pole position there, but he's not going to hold on to it on this opening lap. Of course, locked into that battle with Hamilton and Carlos Sainz there. But is it Lando or is it Oscar that leads the way at the end of lap 1? It is Lando Norris who has jumped to the front of the order then. So a good start by him. As you can already see how quick the AI are in a straight line.
This lap, you can use it when you're within 1 second of the car ahead and in the DRS zone.
Turn 1 here, I just have no confidence at. The AI are so good on the brakes there, no matter what line they're taking. I don't know what it is, just Brazil, I cannot drive on this game. Well, I really don't think this is a showing of the car's true pace here, but qualifying weirdly around this circuit, more important in the game than it seems to be in real life there, as we'll go around the outside of Checo down at turn 1. So yeah, starting to make some moves and getting ourselves up the order, but the fact both cars running outside the top 15, I think, yeah, this weekend is going to be a bit of a crash back to reality. Right, well, we just got to keep trying to use the battery out of that final corner there, as Bottas, you can see, struggling in the lofty heights of P15 in that kick Sauber. I mean, we're definitely still quicker than a lot of these backmarker cars. I know Perez has struggled a lot this year. As we try and get the run then on Bottas as well down the Esquido de Lago. We're a long way back on the way in. Oh, Bottas will try and cover us off, but if anything, that makes me more motivated to go for the move. Up into P15 we go. But I mean, yeah, we're still away from the points, and now it's my arch rival, Nico Hülkenberg. As we start lap 8 then, not really a lot's been happening in this race at the moment. Esteban Ocon seems to have closed in on me as Bottas is just starting to drop down the order towards the end, but with Hülkenberg just seemingly able to keep inside Gasly's range up in front, and that train extending all the way up to Alonso in P2, we just are losing a couple of tenths a lap to all of those cars, and with no chance of getting in the DRS range again. It's just really, really tough. I mean, we just struggled through a couple of the critical corners as well. We're fast through the S's and through a lot of the twistier parts of this lap. But yeah, you get to a straight, or even the exit here, we just lose a tenth or so to the AI every time, and it makes such a big difference, as I think Ocon now probably going to try and have a look for a way past us here, and I'm not really convinced it's worth fighting against. There goes the Frenchman around the outside. But again, we've just got to try and get to the end of this sprint and try to focus on real qualifying. Oh no, Logan Sargent with issues. Whatever will we do late on in the day? Oh, hello. Esteban Ocon, he tried to do to me what he did to Verstappen a few years ago. Just turned in on me when I'm down the inside through the center S, and back into P15 we go. I mean, now we might be able to leave him and Perez to battle it out towards the end of this race. We've got to use Checo as a rear gunner. In many ways, I'm kind of happy that Sergio's struggling as well here, because at least then it's not just me being terrible. I just don't think the car suits this circuit. 1 lap left to go then of this race, and I think we're going to be locked in for a decent teammate battle right towards the finish of this one, as Sergio Perez is going to fly around or outside. Not often has he had the better of me this season, but he has certainly been a better number 2 than a Yuo Asa ever was, so hopefully heading into next year, Checo will opt to stay with the team, and hopefully, yeah, we can try and fight for both the Drivers and the Constructors' World Championship. But weekends like this really do knock our confidence back. Of course, it is just more about making sure we've got all those upgrades on the car ready to go for next season, and obviously, yeah, to see if we can try and leap forward in terms of progress as well. But Lando Norris took that lead at the start of this one. The DRS here is so critical, but no one else has even got it off of him. Alonso looks like he is still going to come through for P2, but as they make their way out the final couple of corners, Ferrari seemingly a bit quiet this weekend. Charles Leclerc has been so good in recent weekends, but this time round it's not going to go in his favour. Lando Norris is going to take the win in the sprint. Am I able to get the run at the final corner to try and get the move back on our teammate Sergio Perez here? We're just going to try and completely drain the battery tucked up in the wheel tracks of our teammate. Will we get there? No, we don't. Well, there we go then. Lando Norris takes the dub ahead of Alonso there. Hamilton able to move through the field, though, pretty well to finish in P3. Him and George Russell just swap places over the course of that race. Your top 8 grid starters with your top 8 at the finish there. You can see Iwasa actually fell behind both V-carbs during that race as well, so I don't know how much longer he's going to keep hold of that Red Bull seat, but it does mean as we head into the GP, though, Leclerc now with a 90-point lead over Lewis Hamilton at the top of the table there. We've still got 4 drivers mathematically with a shot at the crown. Lando Norris is knocked out of that title fight, but will Leclerc be able to do it? Let's find out. Hopefully he can try and start himself a bit higher up the order as we move into quali.
Atmospheric tracks don't come much better than this. We're in Brazil for qualifying. Let's get some laps at the limit.
Well, we're going to try to avoid ending up tripping over any other AI as we head into the GP proper qualifying, but obviously we know now what kind of times we're going to be aiming for here. Around the 106 flat mark, if we can really nail it. Of course, we never got a decent indicator of what the car was like in, obviously, sprint qualifying, because we only ever did the run on the harder tyre. I've also opted just for a little bit more wing on the car. We may as well steer into where this car's advantages lie and try to be a bit quicker through that middle sector, but it will come at the sacrifice of Sector 1 and Sector 3 pace there. A little bit wild through Turn 4 once again, but once more, this time we got 2 sets of the softs, so we can go for a bit of a safe lap and then go for a real balls-to-the-wall one to finish us off. I mean, it is such a short lap here to try and get nailed. Any little error can really knock you down the grid order quite dramatically, as out of that final corner we'll go. Use all of the battery. Shortest run to the line, a 6.5. It's better than we did in the sprint, but there's still definitely a little bit more to find. This time around then, we're going to try and make sure that we are the last car out onto a lap. That might well be Nico Hülkenberg that is the next car in front of me, but once again Alonso, he seems to be the pace setter here as we get ready to start our final run. I'm going to try and go with the longest run towards the start-finish line to give ourselves the most chance of speed, but let's just see what we can do. We need to try and find at least another couple of tenths. Through those first couple of corners, though, we did pretty well last time round. It is just all about trying to unravel everything, trying to get it all figured out as we make our way down in towards Turn 4. Brake at 100, try and tip the car in nice and sensibly. A little bit more safe that time round, but we're still pretty much even as we make our way up in towards Ferradura there. Way too much curb on the entry. We'll compromise our line on the exit, but we'll just try and attack those curbs as best as we can. Sykes now into the 105, so that's a good lap time by the Spaniard there, as just using a little bit of battery off of those corners there. Just use that little bit of extra power to try and carry the speed off of the corners. We are still in the green at the moment, but it is not by much, as everybody else has improved around us. We're down to P15 then at the moment, and everybody else finding time, and we simply aren't. Is this going to be another bad qualifying performance? I think it is. We're going to line up P16. Well, Sergio Perez there, able to go P6 in the end. Yuki Tsunoda, for the second weekend in a row, gets that V-carb right towards the very front as well, and he looks to be Ferrari's biggest threat. Didn't think I'd be saying that one, but once more, a very, very mixed up grid. It seems like sprint quali and real qualifying, there's been no real similarities in the end. McLaren down in 8th and 11th this time round. Zhou Guanyu, a brilliant effort to go ahead of ourselves there. As we look at that, Zhou Guanyu down to Bottas, covered by just 1/100th of a second. And there's 2 cars between them as well in all of that. Williams and Haas seemingly struggling as well. But again, we are in for a long afternoon. Let's just try and get into the race.
Welcome to where heroes and history are made. It's where the 2008 title was decided in the final corner, and just 1 year later, Jenson Button stormed through from 14th on the grid to claim his one and only Drivers' Championship. It's time then for the Sao Paulo Grand Prix. Interlagos, always a very special race here in Brazil, is a 2.7-mile circuit with 9 lefts and 6 rights for a total of 15 corners. The fastest lap today should have an average speed of around 135 miles per hour if, of course, the weather stays dry until the end of the Grand Prix. It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. An immense lap from Carlos Sainz yesterday puts him in pole position, Charles Leclerc alongside. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Tsunoda, Stroll, Fernando Alonso, Perez, Gasly, Norris, Hamilton, Verstappen, Oscar Piastri, Russell, Ricciardo, Ocon, Joe, Mr. Monaco, Iwasa, Bottas, Albon, Sargent, Teo Porcher, and Nico Hülkenberg rounds off the grid. Now, it's almost time for lights out, so let's go down to the track. Welcome to the commentary box. I'm Alex Jakes. Alongside me is Anthony Davidson. I love this moment in the weekend. Put us in their shoes right now. What are they feeling on the grid?
You've got to know, you've got to have a pre-race game plan. You've watched videos before you get into the car of previous races gone by. You know where you have to place your car if X, Y or Z happens in front of you or behind you. So having this clear game plan is absolutely essential before you get in the car.
Well, here we are then down on the grid, ready for the main event. And once again, we're starting way further back than I'd ever hoped for. And to be honest, I feel like today we've got to try and throw a little bit of a gamble into the strategy here. We've got to just try and do something different, something a little bit brave. Maybe we'll just try and stay out there as long as we can on the hards, see if there's a safety car later on. But yeah, I just want to try and... I want this weekend, I just want to score some points to make sure that it isn't just a completely pointless weekend for us inside this series. Looks like we've got a little bit of variety on the tyre choice though. It's 5 red lights. A mighty long hole, but it is going to be lights out, and away we go then. Iwasa, no surprise on those softs that he's going to move straight past us in towards turn 1. Once again, looks like Logan Sargent, a fast starter as well. We're going to try and get a little bit involved. Whoa, through those first couple of corners, that was not exactly where I wanted to be. And we'll get an illegal overtake as well on Esteban Ocon off the corner. Not really sure what happened there on the inside of turn 2, but I just want to try and find an avenue around the outside of Zhou Guanyu, and then everybody kind of slowed down and chopped across me. Somehow in all of that, we still made up one spot then, as Ricciardo and Iwasa both, opting... That's odd that they both opted for the soft compound tyre, as this time around we'll be well aware of how slow the AI are into this middle sector on lap 1. We've got a lot of drivers actually on the softs.
Let's try and move forward.
Yeah, Zhou Guanyu again. Those Sauber cars, they're still probably, I'd argue, the weakest car on the grid. Them, Williams, Haas all seem to be fairly similar in terms of performance now. But yeah, I still think Kit Sauber, probably the slowest car there, is one of those Ferraris. My money is on it being Charles Leclerc, is absolutely bolted off the start. No, it is Carlos Sainz. Wants to keep his title hopes alive for at least one more weekend. Although I think if Leclerc finished P2... I think it would all be over there. As all Hamilton, bit of a lock-up down at turn 1. Russell there will say thank you very much, as we're now tucked up right behind our title rival in Oscar Piastri. I'm surprised the AI have all gone for softs, but clearly they feel after the sprint that they can try and drag them along as far as they can. Yeah, definitely not going to find the grip around the outside of the McLaren there. So let's just try and settle in. Well, I think, to be honest, early on here, this is just going to be a race of trying to stay out of trouble, just staying in this train of cars. I mean, yeah, they've made F124 better with kind of how the trains form inside this game, but it's still not perfect. Luckily, we've got a bit of a buffer to Esteban Ocon behind, and pretty much every car in front, I feel, is either as quick, if not quicker than ourselves. You can see Sainz, has absolutely ran away with it, but I'd love to see Tsunoda get a podium. He's had a couple of really on-fire weekends towards the end of the campaign. But yeah, for us though, at least for probably the first 10 laps, it's just about trying to hang on. Which the car definitely does seem to be a little bit better with the slightly higher wings heading into the race. But still not perfect. Tell you what, already early on, I'm wishing I'd actually use the mediums in the sprint, because the harder the tyre again with this car, the quicker it seems to become. I mean, we're able to stick fairly comfortably behind Oscar Piastri, give it a few more laps. And we might want to start trying to push the envelope a bit more against the Australian. But yeah, last weekend we were battling for the win. This weekend we're battling for P12 currently. Lance Stroll, Max Verstappen, they just seem to be battling it out a little bit more now. Verstappen, I think, has held on to the position, but annoyingly, that has kind of split our group into two. So now we're going to have to wait and see. I mean, that Red Bull is not a particularly quick race car anymore inside this series. We really did think the Red Bull had just kind of slumped at the start of the year, but I think they've just focused all their efforts on next season's car now and trying to get Verstappen back into a World Championship position. But Leclerc's also moved past Yuki now, so he might be able to try and go on a bit of an attack against his teammate here, but I think it's actually Stroll that is the one struggling, so we might have to try and start making some moves, because I'm worried about how quickly this whole group of cars is going to get detached, as down the inside of Oscar Piastri will go. Let's see, yeah, we have got the straight line speed, which I guess is good news. Up into 12th then, so we just got to see what happens over these next few laps. Yeah, it has only taken about 10 laps in already now. Starting to feel like we've got a bit of a pace advantage over the AI. Hamilton, again, it's been another rough weekend for him. And we're going to relegate him, or at least attempt to relegate him, down into P12. Though, look at the confidence now we've got. Just building up a little bit more belief in this car as the weekend has gone on. And for the first time, we might be able to get ourselves into the points, which sounds decent. When you remember we won last weekend, it's actually quite sad. Our Mercedes don't seem to have any straight line speed right now, and we're going to try and utilise that to the best of our advantage. So Stroll as well, they're caught a little bit slow in towards someone. We thought maybe we could try and get him to go defensive and open up an avenue for ourselves there through turn one, but it's not going to happen. And now he's gone and lost the DRS to Verstappen as well. Sadly, we can't get the run down the Esquito de Largo, so I'll have to sit in P10 for now. But yeah, we are really having to start making moves. Luckily, tyre wear here is non-existent. So we could probably, we could no-stop this race if I wanted to. We would get disqualified, but it might be worth just hanging out there and praying for like a safety car or a red flag. And come on then, Lance Stroll, he's just about got inside the range once again, but you can see he's losing time to those top runners. Around the outside. Oh, we'll go with the Canadian. He's going to get a real squeeze over that inside curb. And again, we will get around the outside through turn one. That center S just invites good wheel-to-wheel racing. And luckily for us at the moment, it seems to be really working. So here comes Lance again. He just shows the nose, but has not got the confidence on the brakes. I think our tyre advantage is starting to swing. Oh, what on earth is going on here? Gasly, trying to look down the inside of Sergio Perez there. Verstappen and I, we're just going to try and wait out on this one as all. We almost, I think we did just nick the back of the Dutchman there. We'll get down the inside though. Well, as we make our way into Ferradura, I mean, this is more like touring cars at the moment. As Perez and Norris, they are really, really struggling to try and keep up, well, with the rest of the runners there. Can we find the grip around the outside of Pierre Gasly? No, we can't, but it won't stop us into the very next corner. Going for a big send. And moving up then into P7, so places are chopping and changing more and more right now. And will we once again see Norris and Perez at the final corner there? Suddenly now, I mean, Norris has got no drive off of that final turn. And it really does feel for the first time all weekend that this car is starting to come alive. Can we get the run on our teammate Perez as well? Back down towards turn one, he's going to try and squeeze us defensive. But we started 10 places behind our teammate here. And after just 14 laps, we are in front. The other thing I failed to pick up on in the sprint as well was actually the tyre temperature. Yes, we might not have much qualifying pace. This car is just not one that's designed over one lap. It is a much better race car. But now we're actually not overheating the tyres either. And that's working really nicely. As Tsunoda and Leclerc into the pit lane then. That's going to leave our two Spaniards 1 and 2. But, I mean, they've surely got to be diving in at the end of this lap. And again, I'm just happy to stay out here for as long as I need to. There we go, Carlos Sainz into the pit lane, and Fernando Alonso will follow him there. I'm a little bit surprised that the AI have been able to take those soft compound tyres as far as they have. Yeah, I don't think we're approaching the pit window anytime yet, Mark. Anytime now, I would take a red flag, or a safety car for that matter. But I think the second half of this race, until we pit, is going to get very, very lonely. Well, there we go. Fernando Alonso does a 1:08.2, so he and Charles Leclerc trying to work together, I think, in the second half of this race to close in on Carlos Sainz. Tsunoda still running in what would be P4 when I finally decide to pit. But, I mean, basically at the moment we're just trying to get some laps led under our belt in through the second half of the afternoon. I mean, even if we switch over to mediums, we're not going to have an advantage over the AI unless we stay out for quite a lot longer. I'm kind of of the mindset of we haven't really got a lot to lose today, apart from maybe some confidence in the rear end of the car. Well, I can't really remember how much time you'll lose by taking a pit stop around this circuit.
It's time to utilize some of this energy. Come on.
But I'm also noticing some dark clouds rolling in just over this point of the venue. Now, I don't think it's meant to rain by the end of the afternoon, unless we've got a couple of red flags or something wild happens towards the end of this. But, yeah, we're just trying to keep our options open as best as we can. Sainz now less than 4 seconds away. But even when he does get me, as long as we can try and stay in the DRS, we might still not be in a bad spot. Well, just 10 laps left to go then. Our window is just beginning to run out late on in this Grand Prix, and we're about to get jumped as well by Carlos Sainz here. I'm not going to put up much of a fight, but I'm also not going to try and slow myself down to let him through either. As I mean, he's trying to push me along at the moment. Carlos finally works his way around us and into the lead once more of the Grand Prix. There was no contact made. He just decided to get right under my diffuser for some reason. So let's see if we can try and stay in the DRS range of the Spaniard here. Might just help us out a little bit.
The grip levels are going to start falling away soon.
I mean, yeah, we certainly aren't going to have to worry about these tyres, but it is just when do I opt to box? When do I give up on kind of this alternate strategy? I reckon end of lap 30. If we haven't had anything by then, we'll pit for a set of softs and just fly through those last few laps. Hopefully make a few moves. Well, making our way then out of the final corner to finish lap 30. We're finally going to do it. We're finally going to dive into the pit lane and move away from these hard compounded tyre that has served us well right since the get-go. I'm staggered that everybody has had flawless reliability up to this point as well this afternoon. Normally, you would expect a couple of DNFs in each race on this game, but yeah, so far everybody still running, and that's what I was kind of relying on, that maybe we would see others with issues.
Go. Perfect job on the turn in there, mate. Looks like a nice stop time. We're happy with that one. Look after these tyres now. We want to finish the race on this compound.
Well, we haven't got many laps left to go, but we are going to be battling on the way out of the pit lane there. Who is this going to be with? Pierre Gasly. As we'll try and get the power down, but I mean, surely on a fresh set of softs, going to have the pace over him. We still want to try and get some temperature into them. But up then into P11, so every place we gain is going to be a nice bonus. And now we're going to have about 3 laps towards the end of this to try and carve our way through this gaggle of cars battling at the bottom of the top 10. And still see, I mean, that's Tsunoda and I believe Lando Norris battling a little bit further up in front as well. But there are going to be plenty of opportunities, and still we can get a decent points haul. Well, after a decent qualifying and an even better start, it's a shame to see how much Sergio Perez's pace has fallen off as the afternoon has gone on. He's now battling it out, yeah, with the Mercs and his former teammate in Max Verstappen there as well. Just closing in a little bit more on the Dutchman as we make our way down through the Esquina de Lago. And now up the other side in towards Ferradura. Can we possibly have a look around the outside? Or just nudge the wheel on the grass on the way in there. But the Dutchman, he will give us the room. And we will move ourselves back up then into 10th place. But I mean, look at this. This train now seems to extend all the way up to just outside the podium. As we look at the grip, we've got, what, 15 lap fresher, softer tyres than everybody else. We should be a little bit overpowered at this late stage of the afternoon. And it was all the hard work we did on the mediums earlier on there. Will Perez have the DRS range over those McLarens? Or is he just going to be a bit of a sitting duck as we make our way out in the final corner? Both ourselves and Lewis Hamilton trying to look for it. We're going to be almost 3 wide by the time we get in towards someone there. That was like Alonso, Massa and Mark Webber all the way back in 2010. But a double overtake done. We are back into P7 of this race. Less than 2 laps to go. Let's try and get these McLarens. Oh, we are all over the back. I feel so sorry for Yuki. The fact his pace has fallen apart once again inside this game. But we could end up, for the second race in a row, locked into a battle with Oscar Piastri that could see us with a drag race to the finish line here. But before that, we've got to try and get around two of Formula 1's shortest drivers. Yuki Tsunoda defending from Norris back in towards turn 1. He'll try and force the McLaren the long way round through that first corner there. Oh, they will both sit on the apex, though, on the exit through turn 2. And we will try and sneak our way down the inside there. Still, somehow, Yuki has got the DRS off of Oscar Piastri in front. And a lunge to the inside there. We've got so much more grip and confidence in the car on this very last lap. We are up into P5 then of this race. But could we end up getting P4? We've got to fly through this middle sector there. But I mean, everywhere we should be taking time out of Oscar Piastri. He is on 20-lap hard compound tyres. We are on 5-lap old soft compound tyres. The pace difference is astronomical right now, as trying to save every little bit of battery we possibly can for the final corner. Carlos Sainz, he has dominated this afternoon's proceedings. He will win the Brazilian Grand Prix. I believe in doing so. Charles Leclerc, though, will become your Drivers' World Champion for Ferrari as well. Will we be able to get the run on Oscar? We haven't quite got enough.
It's been a brilliant drive from Carlos Sainz, who takes the checkered flag.
They led from lights out to the flag at the end, and their race victory was never in doubt, was it? Brilliant stuff by them.
Here come our winners now. A thrilling race and a tremendous effort by Ferrari. Their history is well known, so it's no surprise to fans the world over to see them come out on top once again.
There we go then, Carlos Sainz. What a day that has been for the Spaniard there. It's a Spanish 1-2 come the finish as well. Alonso just didn't quite have enough to get back to him by the end of that. And for the second race in a row, Oscar Piastri and I covered by less than a tenth of a second. Admittedly, I'm sure he wished those race results had been swapped. But there we are then. P5, I'll be honest, way better than I was expecting us to do come the end of that one. We really did lack pace all weekend, but a bit of a masterstroke with the strategy opened up the race as it went on there. Yuki Tsunoda in 6th ahead of Norris, Hamilton, Perez and Russell. 5 Brits inside, 4 Brits even inside your top 10 come the checkered flag there. What does that do, though, to our championship standings? Sainz has kept himself mathematically with a shot. If I'm not mistaken, there is 86 points available between now and the end of the year. 26, obviously, for each Grand Prix with fastest lap, so that equals 78, and then 8 more for the Qatar Sprint. So that's why we didn't see Leclerc crowned as champion, because Carlos Sainz has forced himself still with a mathematical shot. 4 points in it, though, between myself and Oscar Piastri. Could we get ahead of Verstappen by the end of the year? I think we need a good run of form, but again, another weekend where the Dutchman failed to score any points there. Ferrari, I believe they have wrapped up the Constructors' Championship, though. Maybe they just need it mathematically sorted next time out in Las Vegas as well there. But surely we're on the brink of Charles Leclerc World Championship glory. Aston Martin jumped Red Bull, so last year's champions all the way down to 5th currently in the Constructors. But I mean, McLaren, Aston and Red Bull all very, very close together there. And Tsunoda again pulling out points ahead of the rest of the backmarker teams. Thank you all so much for watching. If you have enjoyed, please do make sure you leave a like, get yourself subscribed, and we'll be back very soon when Formula 1 returns ready in Las Vegas.